Your soulmate is coming closer, and the universe is about to reveal who they are. But the reveal may not look the way you imagined. It may not begin with a dramatic stranger appearing at the perfect moment or a message that instantly answers every question about your love life. The truth may arrive more quietly. You may begin seeing someone differently. A conversation may expose feelings that were hidden beneath friendship. Someone already near the edges of your world may move closer. Or before the right person becomes visible, the universe may first remove your attraction to the pattern that kept you choosing the wrong ones. That is why the current astrology matters. July is not giving one isolated relationship transit. It is creating a sequence. Mercury is moving retrograde through emotional Cancer. Neptune is turning inward. Venus is shifting into Virgo and approaching the South Node. Jupiter is expanding heart-centered Leo energy, and the Cancer new moon is preparing a new emotional cycle. Together, these transits tell a clear story. The past is being reviewed, fantasy is being tested against reality, old relationship patterns are being exposed, and your definition of emotional safety is changing. The soulmate reveal begins there. For a long time, many people have confused intensity with compatibility. The person who creates the strongest emotional reaction is not always the person who can build the deepest relationship. Attraction can be real while the structure is wrong. Chemistry can be powerful while communication remains unstable. Someone can occupy your thoughts because the connection matters, but someone can also occupy your thoughts because the situation never became clear enough for your nervous system to relax. Mercury retrograde in Cancer begins opening those emotional files again. You may think about someone from the past. An old conversation can return to your mind. A dream may bring back a person you had not considered for months. A familiar place, song, photograph, or message may suddenly carry more emotional weight than expected. Cancer remembers through feeling, and during this retrograde, memory is not always returning because the past belongs in the future. Sometimes it returns because you are finally ready to understand what actually happened. This distinction matters. A person coming back into your mind does not automatically mean they are returning to your life. A message from an ex does not automatically mean reconciliation is written in the stars. Mercury retrograde can reopen a conversation so that you notice something you missed the first time. It can show you why a relationship felt impossible to release. It can reveal whether you were attached to the person, the potential, or the unanswered question. You may finally understand that someone did not feel unforgettable because they were necessarily your soulmate. Perhaps they activated a wound that made uncertainty feel urgent. Perhaps their inconsistency kept your mind searching for an answer. Perhaps the relationship became larger in imagination because reality never had enough stability to become ordinary. This is where Neptune's retrograde energy becomes important. Neptune rules dreams, projection, idealization, longing, and the stories we create around what we cannot fully see. When Neptune turns inward, fantasy begins to lose some of its protection. You start noticing the distance between who someone actually is and who you needed them to become in order for the story to work. That can be painful, but it is also liberating. You may realize that a relationship you called spiritual was surviving mostly through hope. You may see that the mysterious person was simply unavailable. You may admit that you spent more time imagining future conversations than living an actual relationship. This does not mean the feelings were fake. Feelings can be genuine even when the interpretation around them is incomplete. The universe is clearing that confusion because the soulmate connection coming closer requires a different kind of vision. Before the real person becomes obvious, your eyes must become honest, and honesty changes attraction. Someone you once found irresistible may begin to feel emotionally expensive. The person who kept you waiting may no longer seem as fascinating once you stop romanticizing the waiting. Meanwhile, someone calmer, clearer, and more consistent may become easier to notice. That is not because you are lowering your standards. It may be because your standards are becoming more accurate. For people used to emotional unpredictability, peace can initially feel unfamiliar. You may have learned to associate love with waiting, guessing, checking, and wondering what changed. When someone communicates clearly, part of you may not know what to do with the absence of anxiety. You may even mistake safety for lack of chemistry. The Venus transit into Virgo begins correcting that perception. Venus in Virgo wants to see how love functions in reality, who follows through, who remembers the detail you mentioned casually, who checks on you without turning the interaction into a performance, who respects your time, who becomes more reliable as closeness increases. Virgo does not destroy romance, it gives romance a bot. This matters because your soulmate may not reveal themselves through a cinematic entrance. The connection may begin through ordinary life. Work, routine, study, health, organization, a shared responsibility, a repeated place, or a practical conversation can become the doorway. You may meet several times before realizing that the bond feels different. The first conversation may seem normal. Later, another interaction feels easier. Then you notice that this person listens in a way that makes you want to speak honestly. You discover shared values through everyday topics. The attraction develops without requiring constant emotional drama. At first, you may not call it destiny. Later, you may understand that destiny did not need to destabilize you in order to get your attention. There is also a possibility that the person is not entirely new. Mercury retrograde can reconnect people, and Venus approaching the South Node can create powerful feelings of familiarity. Someone from the past may return. A friendship can reveal another layer. A person you met before but never fully knew may reappear under different circumstances. But familiarity alone is not enough. The South Node can expose old relationship habits just as easily as it can revive a meaningful connection. The universe may place an old pattern and a new possibility near each other so that you can finally feel the difference. Maybe you once chased people who were difficult to reach. The difficulty itself created intensity. Now someone enters who does not make you earn every moment of attention. Your first response may be uncertainty because peace is not yet familiar, or perhaps a former partner returns claiming to have changed. Venus in Virgo asks a practical question: what is different now? Not what sounds different, what functions differently. Can the person communicate honestly? Can they take responsibility? Can the two of you discuss the old problem without immediately recreating it? Is there a new structure or only a new conversation about the same structure? A real second chance needs more than nostalgia, it needs evidence. This is one of the strongest themes in the soulmate reveal. The universe is about to show you who someone is through patterns rather than promises. Watch what happens after the exciting conversation. Notice whether interest survives ordinary days. See how they behave when plans become inconvenient. Observe whether they become clearer as intimacy grows or more difficult to understand. A soulmate is not revealed only by how powerful the beginning feels. The person is revealed through what the connection becomes when reality enters. Mercury retrograde through Cancer adds another question: who feels like home? Not in the unhealthy sense of recreating childhood patterns just because they are familiar. Real emotional home feels different. It is the place where you can speak without constantly editing yourself. Silence does not become punishment. Disagreement does not threaten the entire bond. Vulnerability does not become ammunition. The person may challenge you, but you do not feel required to become someone else to remain loved. This is why your body may recognize the difference before your mind does. Around one person, you become hyper-aware. You check the phone, you analyze wording, you wonder whether the tone changed. You lose focus on the rest of your life because the relationship exists mainly through uncertainty. Around another person, attraction exists, but you remain connected to yourself. You can work, sleep, create, spend time with others. The connection adds to your life instead of swallowing the entire emotional landscape. Pay attention to the version of yourself that each relationship produces. That may reveal more than any spiritual label. The approaching soulmate connection can be passionate without being destructive. There can be strong attraction, fascination, curiosity, and desire. The difference is that passion does not need confusion to stay alive. Imagine being excited about someone without constantly wondering whether they want you. Imagine attraction becoming stronger as trust grows. Imagine not having to disappear emotionally in order to keep the connection peaceful. The upcoming transits are moving the relationship story toward that possibility. Jupiter's presence in Leo adds courage to the heart. Leo wants love to be expressed. It becomes harder to pretend that you do not care. Someone who has been observing quietly may become more visible. A connection that remained undefined may need language. Your own heart may become less interested in detached behavior and more willing to admit what it actually wants. This can bring a reveal because someone finally steps forward. Think about the people already near your world without forcing an answer. Someone connected through work, friendship, community, creative spaces, social media, mutual friends, learning, or a repeated routine could become more noticeable. Has there been a connection slowly growing warmer? Someone whose presence feels increasingly important. Someone who pays attention without demanding immediate emotional access. The purpose is not to turn every interaction into a prediction. Let reality do the revealing. Astrology is showing a sequence. First, old patterns are shaken, then buried desires become conscious. Fantasy is examined, love becomes more practical, the past is reviewed, emotional clarity grows. Then a new Cancer cycle begins around home, safety, belonging, and real intimacy. The soulmate reveal comes through this sequence because you understand the right person more clearly after the old pattern loses its disguise. The Mercury chasm during the retrograde period may create a moment of insight. Something hidden in emotional noise can become easier to understand. A conversation reveals motivation. A memory connects with something happening now. You finally recognize why one person continues returning to your mind, or why another person must remain part of your past. The important thing is not to force the clarity to support the answer you already want. Real revelation can surprise you. You may have spent months asking when your soulmate will arrive while the universe has been preparing another question. Would you recognize healthy love if it did? Would you trust someone who is direct? Would you allow a relationship to develop slowly? Could you receive affection without searching for hidden danger? Would you let someone care for you without feeling that you must earn every act of tenderness? Those questions are part of soulmate timing too. Finding the right person is only one side of the story. The other side is becoming capable of remaining yourself when love arrives. Loneliness can make anyone feel ready for a relationship. Emotional readiness is something else. It means you can communicate fear without turning it into control. You can allow another person individuality without reading every independent action as rejection. You can express needs without feeling ashamed for having them. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is reviewing the emotional defenses that could make a future relationship difficult. Maybe you learn to become extremely independent because asking for help once resulted in disappointment. Maybe you pull away emotionally before someone has the chance to leave. Maybe unavailable people feel safer because true mutual intimacy makes you feel exposed. These are adaptations, not permanent identities, but an adaptation that protected you in one season can block what you want in another. The soulmate coming closer may challenge those defenses simply by behaving differently. Someone may ask a direct question and actually wait for the real answer. Someone may remember what you told them. Someone may remain emotionally present after closeness instead of disappearing. If you are used to chasing, this can feel unexpectedly vulnerable. Suddenly, there is no pursuit to hide inside. There is no emotional puzzle consuming all your attention. You have to let yourself be known. That may become the real challenge of the soulmate connection. People say they want someone who understands them, but being understood can feel frightening. A person who notices the small shift in your voice may see through the strategy of saying you are fine. They may ask about the thing you usually avoid discussing. They may make you aware of how often you emotionally disappear when you need reassurance. Real intimacy is revelation in both directions. You reveal yourself and they reveal themselves. The connection grows through reality rather than fantasy. The Cancer new moon approaching later in the month adds another important layer. Cancer is concerned with home, emotional roots, family patterns, belonging, and the private self. A new cycle here can change the relationship question from who creates the strongest feeling To with whom can something real be built? Home is not only a physical place, it can be the experience of not translating yourself all the time. It can be the confidence that conflict will be handled rather than weaponized. It can be ordinary kindness repeated often enough that trust begins forming naturally. Under this Cancer energy, relationships that look impressive but feel lonely become harder to tolerate. That is part of the preparation. Your soulmate may carry familiarity without repeating the exact emotional pattern of your past. Healthy recognition and unhealthy repetition can initially look similar because both feel familiar. The difference becomes visible over time. Recognition creates curiosity with an underlying calm. Repetition creates obsession with an underlying fear. One invites you into life, the other pulls you away from it. Neptune retrograde and the Venus South Node themes can expose that difference. Perhaps the universe reveals who the person is by showing you who you become around them. When you are around the wrong pattern, you lose your center. You start monitoring, waiting, analyzing, trying to predict. The connection becomes a full-time mental job. Around someone healthier, you may still care deeply, but you remain a person with your own direction. Your dreams continue, your friendships remain important, your work still matters. The relationship adds energy instead of becoming the place where all your energy disappears. This may be one of the clearest signs of the reveal. There is also a possibility that the connection enters through a change in your routine. Venus in Virgo often brings attention to ordinary environments. Perhaps you begin visiting a place more regularly. A practical project brings you into contact with someone. A work situation changes. You begin learning something new or taking better care of your body. Love can enter through the part of life you are not treating as romantic. That is important because many people search for love in places where they become performative. They enter every interaction asking, could this be the person? The strongest connection may appear while you are busy becoming more connected to your own life. Recognition can be gradual. The first conversation seems ordinary. The second feels more natural. Later you notice that you remembered something they said. They remember something about you too. The connection begins building its own gravity without one person forcing it. Let that happen naturally. There may also be strong digital or community themes around the current sign energy. A connection could begin through communication, technology, content, collaboration, or a shared intellectual interest. The person may come from a different background than the type you usually choose. The universe does not care about the exact list you wrote 5 years ago. Sometimes the soulmate reveal is surprising because the person does not match the image, yet somehow meets the deeper need beneath the image. Stay open without becoming desperate. Openness allows reality to surprise you. Desperation assigns destiny before reality has had time to speak. This will matter if the past returns during the retrograde period. A former connection may appear at the same time a new possibility starts developing. That can create confusion because history has emotional weight. The old person knows which memories to activate. The new person has not had enough time to create that kind of familiarity. Do not decide based only on intensity. Ask which relationship is actually moving somewhere, which one creates room for honesty, which one has changed in structure rather than only language, which one makes your future larger instead of keeping you emotionally trapped in the same chapter. The past is not automatically wrong, and the new is not automatically right. Look at the structure. Has anything actually changed? Is responsibility present? Can difficult things be discussed? Does closeness increase clarity? These questions matter more than nostalgia. As the Mercury retrograde continues, you may receive information that changes how you understand a relationship. The shift may come externally, but often it is something deeper. You finally believe what you already knew. You may already know someone is inconsistent, yet part of you still waits for the next message to change the entire pattern. You may already know another person cares, yet safety feels so unfamiliar that you keep questioning it. July can close the distance between what you know and what you are willing to believe. Once that happens, love becomes easier to recognize. Jupiter in Leo also increases visibility. Perhaps your soulmate is coming closer because you are becoming easier to see. Your standards are clearer now, your voice is stronger, your work is becoming more visible. You are spending time in places that match who you are becoming. You are less interested in environments where you have to shrink to belong. When your path changes, the people who can meet you on it change too. A relationship is not only two people meeting, it is two timelines becoming compatible. This is why your recent changes matter. The Mars-Uranus disruption broke stale patterns. Mars-Pluto brought hidden desire closer to consciousness. Neptune retrograde begins removing projection. Venus in Virgo examines what love actually looks like every day. The South Node contact reveals habits carried from the past. Mercury retrograde in Cancer reviews emotional history. Then the Cancer new moon prepares a new chapter around belonging. There is a logic to the story. You are not simply waiting for a person to appear. Your way of recognizing love is changing. And as that changes, the person who fits your future becomes easier to see. Your soulmate may already be moving closer through circumstance, emotional timing, or physical distance. You do not have to hunt for them. You do not have to turn every coincidence into a prophecy. Instead, become clear about the relationship you can actually live inside. Not the relationship that looks beautiful in a photograph. Not the one that proves your worth to other people. Not the one that creates a dramatic beginning and leaves you exhausted afterward. What happens when life becomes ordinary? Can you communicate when tired? Can both people repair after conflict? Can ambition and love exist together? Can each person remain an individual? Can affection be expressed in a way the other person understands? Does reality deepen the connection or slowly expose that fantasy was doing most of the work? Those questions reveal compatibility. A soulmate is not only someone who can awaken powerful feelings. Many people can activate emotion. The deeper connection is the one where emotion can become a shared life. Love must eventually enter the calendar. It has to survive ordinary mornings, busy weeks, changes in mood, practical decisions, misunderstandings, repair. This does not remove the magic. It makes the magic durable. The universe may reveal who they are by showing you who remains consistent after the excitement begins. Notice the person who becomes more curious as they learn who you really are. Notice where honesty increases closeness instead of destroying it. Notice where you feel desired without becoming emotionally unstable. There may soon be a moment when you look at someone differently. The energy may have been present for longer than you realized. Maybe the timing was wrong before. Maybe both lives had to change. Maybe the person is genuinely new but carries a strange feeling of recognition. Do not rush to name the experience. Let them reveal themselves. A soulmate label means nothing if behavior cannot support it. The current astrology is bringing love down from fantasy and placing it inside reality. That can become one of the most beautiful relationship shifts of the year. The right person will not need you to remain confused in order for the connection to feel important. They will not need you to chase in order to prove desire. There will still be uncertainty because every new relationship contains discovery, but the uncertainty will come from learning who another person is, not from constantly wondering whether you matter. Your body may notice this first. You sleep better, you check less, you can concentrate, you feel excited without feeling emotionally hijacked. That is what attraction can feel like when it is not built on unpredictability. At first, the calm may feel unfamiliar. Give reality enough time to speak. Peace and passion are not enemies. When the Cancer new moon opens the next emotional chapter, you may understand that safety was always part of what you were asking for, even when your mind focused only on romance. You were not truly asking for someone who could make your heart race for a few months. You were asking for a person with whom your heart could remain open. That requires another kind of foundation. The reveal may happen through an introduction, a conversation, a return, or a realization about someone already present. But the deeper revelation will happen inside your own perception. You will understand what no longer belongs in your love story. You will recognize which old pattern has been pretending to be destiny. You will become more able to notice the connection where attraction and stability can exist together. Sometimes the universe does not need to bring the person from far away. Sometimes it needs to clear the attachment that kept you looking in the wrong direction. Mercury looks backward so you can understand. Neptune removes the projection. Venus corrects the standard. Cancer opens the emotional doorway, and then love becomes visible in a different form. Over the coming days, stay curious without forcing an answer. Notice who reaches out, but also notice who follows through. Notice who attracts you, but also notice where honesty feels natural. Notice what returns from the past and what that return is actually teaching you. Notice the quiet connections too. Not everything meaningful begins with chaos. Your soulmate is coming closer. Perhaps a friendship is becoming deeper. Perhaps timing is finally changing. Perhaps distance is becoming smaller. Perhaps you are simply becoming clear enough to recognize the person correctly. The universe is about to reveal who they are, but part of that revelation is showing you who you are now. You are learning that confusion is not required for chemistry. You are learning to let behavior finish the story that words begin. You are learning that love can be deep without becoming destructive. That is the version of you the next relationship needs to meet. Somewhere another person is moving through their own sequence too, their own ending, their own clarity, their own decision to become emotionally honest. Soulmate timing is not only about your clock. Two timelines have to become compatible. That may be what is happening now. The fog is lifting. The old pattern is becoming easier to recognize. The distance is beginning to close, and soon the question may no longer be, when will they arrive? It may become, how did I not see this coming? Right, I am ready to recognize real love in the comments if you feel your relationship story changing. Not because a sentence forces destiny, but because awareness changes what you are willing to repeat and what you are finally able to recognize. Your soulmate is coming closer. Do not chase the reveal. Let the transits clear the fog. Let reality show you the person. And when the connection begins to reveal itself, remember what this season taught you. The right love may surprise you, challenge you, and change you, but it will not require you to abandon yourself just to keep it alive.